aka Driving with Styles. Welcome. I know I didn't send a pregame hit. I apologize. My bad. They got away from me. However, it is a great day. My feet touched the ground this morning. There's no better feeling. Everything after that is. Years ago, Kobe Bryant dropped 81. If anybody knows me, I'm a big Laker fan. My side chick became the Golden State. Always been the Lakers since forever. And Kobe dropped that 81 on Toronto 15 years ago. Man, that seemed like it was yesterday. So big ups to that. Laker Nation, stand tall. Man, that was a great game. Yeah, I think he could have went for 100 if he really wanted to, because apparently he didn't know where he was, and Lamar Odom kept feeding him his numbers. Other thing today before I get started is rest in power, Hank Aaron. Even though I wasn't a baseball guy, his stature and his legacy reaches way beyond baseball. So it was sad to hear that such a legend has passed and has paved the way for black athletes pretty much in all sports, the way he handled his situation with class. So condolences to that family. But his legacy is something that's steep. So, man, that was a big loss for us. This 2020, 2021 has been a horrible year. Horrible year. So, don't know how I'm going to start this. You know what I want to say? What in the hell is wrong with athletes? I want people to understand, and athletes are human. And it's hard, man. Trust me, I've been on the road in the NFL. And if you knew half of the things that happen, you'll be shocked. And I'm sure a lot of you have thoughts in your head of what happens on the road. It's that times 10 for some of these guys. It's wild, man. I was shocked. But I read today the UFC cut, I don't know how to pronounce his name. I'm going to say Azatar, because he brought unauthorized guests to the hotel. And apparently they went from balcony to balcony to get in his room. Can you imagine what it took just to get into this guy's room? To go from one balcony in the scale to another balcony, then is it really worth that much? That is crazy, man. It's just like the Seattle rookie who tried to sneak up his girlfriend into the hotel. Seriously? Woo, that's a wild stuff, man. It's wild stuff. Wild stuff. But one thing I want to get on real quick is it is interesting how the transfer portal, where it's gotten to this point. And I'm a fan of the portal. But it's interesting that fans clamor over the portal almost as much as they clamor over recruits. And it's crazy because here's the deal for me, and this is really pertinent to Kentucky football, because I think fans realize how great a job Stoops and Morrow had, and the staff, not just because Sumrall and Coach White and all those guys have been great recruiters. But it's interesting that we talk about how well we recruited, but we don't trust the coaches with the recruits that they have on the roster already. For example, we are clamoring for getting another Mike linebacker, which I'm not saying that we don't need one. I'm really not saying that it wouldn't be nice to get one. I don't know. But remember a couple years ago, no one knew about Jamin Davis. We had some injuries, and he had to play more, I guess not last year, in 2019 because of some injuries we had. And he flashed some, right? 2018, he didn't play that much. But 2019, he played a little bit more, and he flashed, and he got my attention too. Okay, because I said what I seen out of the few games he played, he has a chance to be in the NFL. I got receipts on that. Then he comes this year, his first true year of starting, and balls out. Would you ever imagine that after the 2019 season? So why can't we trust the coach that we have? Jared Casey has a chance. He needs to make a big jump. But Jamin Davis made a big jump from 2019 to 2020. Right? So Jared Casey was a more of an outside linebacker than he was an inside linebacker. They moved him to inside linebacker this year. And he played decently. With one full off season, I think he could be the next guy. Then we got the freshman. Let me make sure Derek Jackson? Who's a freshman. Maybe he's the guy. Now, I'm not saying we shouldn't get out and shore up that group. Not saying that, because losing Chris Oates hurt a lot. That made that group a little short. But I don't know. I think we might have the guys. The same way when with this year with outside linebackers, right? We had Sam Neely. I hope I'm saying his name right. And we got Jordan Dingle. We might have our rush in on the staff. If Jordan Dingle was okay with his hand in the ground, get him to get down to his real playing weight instead of having him gain weight to play with his hand in the ground. Give him to be his real natural weight and let him be the Josh Allen way. He can put his hand in the ground, but also be able to get in coverage. Maybe he's the guy. Maybe Sam is the guy. We don't know. It's just funny to me how we are all enamored by these guys who get in the transfer portal. They are just as unknown as the guys we have on the roster. Unless they are just a bona fide stud. There's no one that I've heard us looking at that is a bona fide stud. That is a day one plug and play inside or outside linebacker. Rush linebacker, whatever, jack, whatever you want to call it. We might have him on the roster. The great thing about him being on the roster, unless you have a bona fide dude, a bona fide first days on campus, he's penciled in as a starter. No doubt about it. If you don't have one of those guys, the guys that are on the staff knows the system. They've been in the system for a year. That helps. The coaches know what their pluses and minuses are, where they're deficient, what they can call to make them more successful. I've said it many times. I love the transfer portal. I like it, especially for the athlete. But I'm not sure we should be clamoring so much as fans and putting all our energy and all our emotions in all these transfer portals. Because to me, if you think about it, there's a reason why these guys are transferring. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it's an interesting dynamic when you're talking about kids from the transfer portal. Because then you got to look into why they're not playing or why are they transferring. So for me, the Henry To'oTo'o, if I'm saying his name properly, for him, his coach left. Makes sense. Maybe he doesn't want to sit there with a new coach that he's not familiar with, They're going to change the system. The system fit his abilities more, and where he's going to try to go to another system that maybe fit his ability more, or maybe go to another system that he feels like can get him to the league faster. That makes sense. But for the guys who have struggled, not a graduate transfer, I'm talking about a transfer portal, not a graduate transfer, a guy who's transferring, it makes you wonder, why wasn't he playing at the old place? Not to say that these guys can't go to another school and ball out. I'm not saying that, but it's a little hesitation. But it gives me pause. And to hear fans clamoring for these kids that are coming from another institution, just want you guys to realize that it doesn't equal success. And what it can do is taking a scholarship away from a young guy that can maybe develop. That's all I'm saying. But I'm serious, and I said this 2019 about the secondary, about the corners. I said I have no problem with what we have in the corner because we have talent there. Now that talent has to obviously come on the field and produce, but we have talent. The same thing at middle linebacker. I think we have talent. Now it's not experienced talent. But I will say this, and I've said this on the locker with me and Anthony White, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I said this on the locker. I like Jamin Davis. Jamin Davis played better when Chris Oates was in the game with them. I think that was a game or two when Chris Oates was in the game, the Missouri game, and I can't remember another game. And I think Oates, maybe he makes the adjustments, maybe he makes the calls, maybe he does something that puts Jamin Davis at ease. Because when Jamin Davis had to play with Bembrick and Jerry Casey, he struggled a little bit. So I think still having Square there will help that other middle linebacker. And for what I saw Derek Jackson in high school, he is a thud-er, which I think we need more than anything else. So we have an athlete in Square, and then we need someone downhill, fill gaps that is an intimidating. And I think from what I saw in high school, with another year of the offseason and learn the system, I think he's the guy. And I honestly don't think anybody in the transfer portal is going to come in and take his spot. That's the way I feel about it. I think it's going to be him or Jared Casey. Now, when he's transfer portal, or Faulkner, or whoever else is slated to possibly come here, will be a backup. That's the way I see it. Because they're not going to be here in the spring. So they're going to have to be a fall camp guy, summer and fall camp. That's a lot of reps he's missing if we have a spring session. So I just want people to think about the transfer portal. It is a great thing for the players, but don't put too many of your emotions into that portal. Unless it is a bona fide stud. And I'm going to say Henry To'oTo'o is a bona fide stud. Now, that's one guy whom I know. I don't know, but deep in my gut, I feel if he came to Kentucky, he starts day one. Now, that's one of the guys. I don't think the guy from Michigan State is going to automatically start. Could he win the starting position? Sure. But Henry is he's starting once he signs. I don't think he's signing from what I hear he's not. But if he came here and signed on that dotted line, he will start day one. I have no doubt about it. I don't know if I'm gonna. Trying to think if I want to talk. How I'm gonna rope this in here. So it comes to this, right? And we talked about this last night on the locker, again, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We talked about this yesterday. And I think I'm going to elaborate on it. I got about 10 minutes. I'm going to elaborate on this thing. And this has been introduced been brought up because of the Cal deal. I know people, it's like sometimes to me, fans are happy that they are right. But when they're not really right. And the stuff that Cal gets is really amazing. One thing coaches don't do is forget how to coach. Now, if you think he was a horrible coach from day one, okay, well, that's your opinion. But if you think he was a good coach and now he's struggling, that doesn't happen. It doesn't. Coaches do not forget how to coach. I say this all the time. It's all about players and execution. I hear fans talking about the offense is archaic. The offense wasn't archaic last year. It wasn't archaic when we won the national championship. It wasn't archaic when we was undefeated. It wasn't archaic when Hero was launching 3-pointers. When Monk was launching 3-pointers. When Jamal Murray was launching 3-pointers. It wasn't like we haven't had a team that can shoot threes. This team just ain't doing it. Is that on Cal? Now, some people will say, yes, it's on the coach. That's bull to me. Because I've been like this. If you follow me anytime, I say it all the time with football. I said it with Grant. It's not to say Cal doesn't run the most complex system. He doesn't run the damn Steve Kerr motion, constant movement, everybody touch the ball offense. No, he doesn't. It's still about execution, though, no matter what you run. It's about execution, period. And these kids are not executing. And hear these things about the quote about maybe he's not playing to win. That is so much baloney because the quote was taken out of context. You read the whole quote, it was more to that. The players will, if you bring in good players, they're going to get you 30 wins. That's period. It's players. And it bothers me that everybody's jumping on Cal. Not to say Cal doesn't have any fault in this. Not to say he doesn't have any fault in this. But trust me, every coach is playing to win. That's why they make so much money. It's really just that simple. So fans who think, well, we should have played Dante Allen earlier, you might be right. We should have, maybe could have. But the thing about it is, you don't know what's going on in practice. And coaching is not personal. And you might be wrong as a coach. Like I said last night on the locker. Remember this. Kyle Trask sat on the damn bench until we injured Felipe Franks. And we know Felipe Franks isn't the greatest of quarterbacks. Kyle Trask bagged him up. And if Felipe Franks didn't get hurt, Kyle Trask, you might not never seen him. While that screaming, dude, hold on, Carter, I'm going to say you something. I'm not sure that if you are familiar with Cajuns. I don't know if you know what that is, but I played high school football for my first 2 years with a Cajun, and that yelled you can imagine how much he yelled. I played with Little League. I played with Little League coach that grabbed you by the helmet and did this. When you could do that back in the day. Yelling has no bearing on players. It really doesn't. Now, there's some weak-minded players. And then you will have to, as a coach nowadays, you have to know which players can take the yell and which players can't. That's why you hear coaches say you can't treat all the players the same. And you can't. That is true. You can't treat all players the same. Because some players just are a little bit more insecure. And that's the truth. But if you think that these coaches, if you think Cal didn't play Dante because he had some against him, or because he was a Kentucky kid and he didn't want to play a Kentucky kid, or all this stuff, that's BS, man. I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna say two things. All right. When I didn't play my freshman year in high school, and I went to a small ass school, not the greatest of athletes. One reason I didn't play was I was small. I was barely over 100 pounds. I might have been my freshman year. I think I was 100. I was thinking about 110. I think I was under 110 though, but I was about 110 pounds. I was a late bloomer. But I was a bona fide playmaker. We had a big quarterback whom now is the funny thing about it. He's the one who created Raising Cane's. So Todd Graves was a starting quarterback, so I wasn't beating him. It was known that was impossible. But I was the best safety, talent-wise. Best safety, playmaker-wise. The problem was, though, is I wasn't always in the right spot when I was supposed to be. So get that. I wasn't in the right spot always. But the thing I did do at free safety my freshman year is I made freaking plays. I think in my high school career in 3 years, and I was a starting quarterback. I think I had maybe 20 picks. Yeah, but I'm just saying Carter Screaming doesn't. Now, if you don't think he's a good coach, now that's one thing, but Screaming isn't. And I honestly don't see him screaming that much. Now, I've seen him scream before, but he's not a consistent screamer. He's not a 100% all day, every day screamer. But the screaming to a player, I'm going to tell you one thing, it goes in one end out the other. At least during my time. I don't know, these kids are different. Now, trust me, I got a son that is not my son. He's a great athlete. My daughter is the best athlete, and she don't want to do jack. So, kids a little different now. But, so, I was a playmaker. Interception, I had range. I had all that. But sometimes I get caught in the wrong place, and our offense, going against our offense, will score a touchdown. So the coach couldn't trust me. Like, all those awesome plays I made really meant nothing when I'm giving up equal amounts of touchdowns because I'm not where I'm supposed to be. Especially as a free safety when you are the last man of the fence. So my freshman year, I didn't play not one down. Didn't letter, didn't do anything. And I learned that. It wasn't about the great plays. It was about consistency. Being accountable. Being where you are supposed to be when you are supposed to be there. Because my corners are playing a defense and counting on me being over the top when I'm supposed to be over the top. Not gambling on a crossing route when they run a post behind me. That's real talk. So let's say Dante Allen is the best shooter. But Dante Allen can't do anything but shoot. It's hard. Especially in college. But you got guys who can do more. Now, obviously, no one's showing anything this year, but I'm just saying. It's hard, man, when you're coaching to win. Now, in high school, you can do different things. In high school, you can do different things. But in college, when you're coaching, when your livelihood, when your family, when your lifestyle is dependent on winning, don't think these guys are freaking not trying to win. Now, you might not agree with their approach, and that's fine. But as a coach, I'm getting fired on my terms. I'm not getting fired trying to satisfy anybody else. I'm getting fired on my terms. So when I get fired and when I go home and looking at my wife and kids, I can say, well, they fired me because of my principle didn't agree with theirs. If you think coaches are not playing to win, you are fooling yourself. The same thing happened to me in college. The best athlete didn't always start. The guy who was in the right place where he was supposed to be and was doing the job and the alignment, or as we call alignment assignment that he was coached to do, played more than the guy who was a better tackler, a better playmaker, could run faster. Facts. I never forget, the same thing happened to me again. My freshman year against Florida. Everybody remember the 93 game when they beat us at the end. I was the backup free safety. Melvin got hurt. If you know Melvin Johnson got hurt. The backup to him, see, I was a freshman, true freshman. I was really third team safety. But the backup to him got suspended. So that made me the actual backup for that game. Second game of the year. Now, this wasn't a case of me in like my freshman high school not being a place. I knew the defense was similar to what we ran in high school. I was totally comfortable. I had no qualms, and the coach didn't have no qualms either with me not knowing where I was supposed to be. But in that game, in that situation, he didn't trust me to help us win the game. So he put a corner in a safety position who hasn't played safety all that year. But he trusted him that he was going to be in the right spot on that play. It's all about trust. It's simple. As a coach, it's all about trust. Because when you get to college, everybody's a damn good athlete. See, in high school, it's different. Unless you go to one of these big time programs and everybody's good, they got 2-3 deep or great players, different. But most high schools don't have that. Most high schools have a few good players. And if you're that guy in that position and you're the stud, you might be able to get away with stuff. In college, you can't. Because the guy behind you is just as good as you. The guy behind you was the best player on his high school team too. So it's about trust. And every coach trust factor is different. Some coaches you get away with a little bit more than other coaches. It's very subjective. But what I want to say is no coach is doing it for a personal reason. They're trying to keep their damn job. There's good money in being a coach right now. There's great money with being on the staff, have your family set up, everything. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm Fulton. I think I call him something else. I'm not. Here's the thing about linebacker. Carter's asked, I agree with you on the Tuato as opposed to Fulton. You always need depth. Man, I think Fulton could probably add depth, but he's not going to start from day one. I just don't see it. But it's going to be interesting. Having competition is always a good thing, though. I just think Derek Jackson is the guy next. To me, it's either going to be Derek Jackson or Jared Casey. And then you can maybe add Fulton to that if he can beat out one of those who don't start, because you're going to need to have a little rotation at that middle linebacker position, and you can't have square play all 80 plays. So he might bag up square, and then Derek Jackson and Jared Casey back up each other. Whoever started, the other one's the backup. That's possible. I just don't see him coming here and start. I just don't. But I want y'all to understand that. I don't have no problem with fans being upset. Have no problems with fans saying whatever they want to say. But to say Cal is not trying to win is baloney. Dimitri Moore. Now, he is in front of Fulton in my standpoint. I think he has a better chance of starting day one. Because he has shown ability. His sophomore year, I know he had close to 100 tackles, and I think he had damn near close to 100 tackles freshman year. So he has shown the ability, and that defense, Vanderbilt defense, was good ever since Mason was there. So the defense wasn't a problem. So and Moore has shown the ability to play in this conference at a high level. So he would be a good kid. If we can get him, I would rather him over Fulton, if you ask me. And I don't think we need both of them, if you ask me. But here's the thing, going back to coaching. Now, I don't personally know, and you guys know I break down film. Jerry Casey does have problems with identifying pass and run and getting decent drops. But as a whole, it was his first year playing middle linebacker. I think he played pretty decent. I think another year is going to help him. But Derek Jackson has played middle linebacker in high school. Jerry Casey didn't play middle linebacker. I think Derek Jackson is the guy. That's what that's what my eyes see. But I'm going to tell you, Jerry Casey is a good player, though. He might, like I said, with a real spring football and getting in his books. And that's the one thing, that last thing I'm going to get on, I'm going to get off here. Players need to understand, to be a playmaker in high school, like I was saying earlier, it's all about your ability. If you just can run fast, you can hit, you have great hands. Playmaking in high school is different. When you get to college, to be a playmaker, you got to be smart. You have to understand what the offense is trying to do to you, what the offense is trying to do to your coverages, what the offense is trying to do to your scheme. You cannot be a playmaker in college and just rely solely on your athletic ability unless you are just an elite, like off the chart elite athlete. You have to get in your book. You have to. Or right now, they don't have playbooks anymore. You have to get in your iPad, in your whatever, your laptop. Get in your laptop. Learn everything about that defense you can. Learn also about how offenses run routes. Learn route combinations. Here's the thing. I hope so too, Carter. Here's the thing. Route combinations are just like dunks. There's only so many dunks you can do, right? Now all we're doing now is recreating dunks that were done in the 80s and the 70s. All the route combinations, there's only a certain amount of route combinations. Once you learn the basic route combinations, you see a hitch by number one, you can pretty much know what number two is going to run. If you see number two cross your face, you know someone is coming behind you. But those are things that got to be second nature to you. Once I see a guy crossing the middle, I know they're probably going to run a mesh route or they're going to run levels. They're going to run somebody behind me. So I don't want to get caught up in that short crosser. I want to get depth to help my safeties on the deeper crosser. If they run a hitch, you know number two is probably going to run something outside. It's going to probably be a more than likely they run a smash route. Smash route is a short route, then a corner route. Well, if you know that, and I'm a linebacker and I got curl flat, I'm going to get to my curl, but I know there's no one behind me. So I'm like, my eyes on the quarterback, and I'm ready to buzz on that flat as soon as possible. Those are little things to be a playmaker. You have to understand through scouting report, when it's second and less than 8, and they're in the green zone, which is between the 40s, they like to run these plays. Now, in my head, like I said before, I know, okay, they're going to either run this play or this play. That makes the game so much easier than to try to play the whole play or try to react to everything. I'm telling you, and people might not agree, but I'm telling you the truth. My junior and senior year, I knew, I would say 80% confidence what the offense was going to run almost on every play. Because I played the system. I learned how to read a scout report. I learned how to watch film. And my junior senior year was easy as pie. If I didn't get hurt, if I didn't have the concussion my junior year, I think I would have ended up with 4 or 5 INTs. I had 2. But I missed 3 games. And if you look at my history, for some reason I get interception at the end of the season. I don't know why, but that's how it works. I had, if I would have finished that Louisiana Monroe game, I can't remember who the last 2 games we had. We had Tennessee. Learning the game when you're at this level allows you to use your athletic ability. These players got to get in their damn laptop, iPad, whatever they have. Once you get into that and once you learn the game to the highest level and your IQ is up there, the game becomes easy. Even my teammates. And that's one thing I failed at as a teammate until late in my senior year is getting guys to watch film with me. Now, I think halfway my senior year, we started that thing where everybody had to watch film. I wish I would have done that earlier. Because that's how I was successful. Purely watching film. And knowing and having a great idea of what they were going to run. I knew by a wide receiver split the possible routes he was going to run. I was not reacting. Oh my God, I thought he was going to go inside. Oh my God, no. I knew pre-snap the potential route or plays they were going to run. And that's really why I was in the right place at the right time so much in my career. It wasn't because I was a great athlete. It wasn't because I had great feet. It wasn't because I had great hips. It wasn't because I had it was here. Here. So, all right, man. I went a little over. Carter Hall, I appreciate the questions, man. Thank you for tuning in as always. Hope you guys have a good weekend. And I will see you guys on Monday.
1:16 left to play in the game. Quarterback drops